I'm Liyana Hassanel and this is Nightline. The top stories. Drivers and passengers on express and tour buses must wear seatbelts from Tuesday. Perhentian boat tragedy which killed 3. Travel agency and boat operator violated multiple laws, including operating without license. Good morning. Beginning Tuesday, all drivers and passengers on express and tour buses will be required to wear seat belts. The new regulation applies to all buses manufactured after January 2020, while older buses built before 2020 will be given a grace period to install seat belts. According to Road Transport Department Director General Dato A.D. Fadli Ramli, bus drivers must ensure that all passengers are buckled up before the bus departs. Anyone found violating the rule could face a 300 ringgit fine. Bus drivers and operating companies are also not exempt from the rule, as they too may be fined if they fail to enforce the regulation. However, if the driver has clearly instructed passengers to wear their seat belts, but some still refuse to comply, only the offending passengers will be penalized. In such instances, the department will review the vehicle's onboard CCTV footage to confirm whether a reminder had already been given.
Sebelum ini, penguatkuasaan untuk penumpang tu tidak dikuatkuasakan. Tetapi selepas 1 Julai, kita akan ambil tindakan penguatkuasaan termasuk kepada penumpang bas persiaran dan juga bas ekspres.
He was met after officiating the Road Transport Department's monthly assembly in Kota Baru, Kelantan. He said moving forward, the department will not compromise on the matter, as discussions have already been held with bus operators and guidelines have been issued regarding the directive. On a related matter, higher education institutions have been instructed to closely monitor any independent travel arrangements made by their students, including chartering private tour buses to return home during the holiday season. Higher Education Minister Datuk Sri Zambri Abdul Kadir said the measure is aimed at preventing untoward incidents involving students. While students are not prohibited from chartering buses on their own, Zambri stressed that they must inform their universities to allow proper oversight.
Hal-hal yang sebegini termasuk bukan hanya dari satu segi saja, bukan hanya berkaitan dengan sama ada soal jalan, soal kenderaan dan juga soal pemandu yang jawab, dan termasuk juga di peringkat pengurusan yang perlu kita lakukan.
Zambri was speaking to reporters after visiting the family of the late Nurli Sahira Azman at Kampung Gong Pasir in Besut. She was one of 15 University Pendidikan Sultan Idris UPSI students killed in a crash involving a chartered bus on the East-West Highway near Tasik Banding, Gerik, Perak on June 9th. The Higher Education Ministry is currently reviewing a range of improvement proposals from relevant stakeholders to help prevent similar tragedies in the future, including suggestions to only schedule student travel during the day instead of at night. His Majesty Sultan Ibrahim, King of Malaysia, granted an audience to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim on Sunday. The meeting lasted about an hour at Istana Bukit Tunku in the federal capital. During the audience, the Prime Minister presented the latest developments in various current national issues. Also on Sunday, the King granted an audience to the new Inspector General of Police, IGP, Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Ismail. The meeting between His Majesty, who is also the Honorary Commissioner-in-Chief of the Royal Malaysia Police, PDRM, and Muhammad Khalid took place in Johor Bahru. According to a post on Sultan Ibrahim's Facebook page, Johor Police Chief Dato M. Kumar also participated in the meeting. Muhammad Khalid was appointed as the IGP on June 20th, replacing Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussain, who retired from service. The shortage of nurses and healthcare personnel has emerged as a more pressing issue for the Health Ministry compared to utilization. Admitting to the matter, Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said several immediate steps are being taken to address the shortfall, including increasing the number of nursing trainees. According to ministry records, 6,919 healthcare workers under the Health Ministry resigned and moved to the private sector between 2020 and last year. Of that number, 2,141 were nurses, comprising 1,754 permanent staff and 387 contract appointees. Dr. Zulkifli explained that one of the main reasons behind the exodus were more attractive compensation packages offered by the private sector.
Kita pun telah mengambil berbagai pendekatan, antara lain meningkatkan jumlah pelatih ke paras 1,000, tapi ia masih tidak ada yang memenuhi semuanya.
He was speaking at a media conference following the official handover of the Pasir Gudang Hospital project in Johor earlier on Sunday. The minister also noted that countries like the Philippines, once a major exporter of nurses, are now also facing similar shortages in their own healthcare systems. A family of 3, including 2 young children, were killed when a tourist boat they were on capsized off Pulau Perhentian in Besut, Terengganu on Saturday night. The 22-year-old boat operator has been arrested after testing positive for drugs, while police also found that he has 5 prior criminal records. The incident happened at around 10:30 p.m. during heavy rain and rough seas. The boat, carrying 15 passengers aged between 3 and 40, was returning to Pulau Perhentian Besar after a fire show on Pulau Perhentian Kecil. However, just 20 meters from shore, the boat suddenly capsized and sank. The victims have been identified as 40-year-old S. Arumugam, his daughter, 3-year-old Sarvika Arumugam, and a 10-year-old relative, V. Venpani. A 6-year-old child remains in critical condition, while 11 others sustained injuries.
Keadaan cuaca pada ketika itu hujan lebat, ribut dan laut bergelora menyebabkan bot itu terbalik dan karam. Dari keadaan kejadian tersebut, pasukan PDRM Pulau Perhentian bersama penduduk kampung telah melaksanakan tindakan menyelamat dan berjaya menjumpai kesemua 15 penumpang dan pemandu bot.
Preliminary investigations revealed that none of the passengers were wearing life jackets. Police will seek a remand order for the boat operator on Monday. Meanwhile, the post-mortem examinations of the 3 victims of the boat tragedy was completed at around 4:30 p.m. on Sunday. The forensic department at the Sultanah Nur Zahira Hospital was enveloped in an air of sadness on Sunday afternoon, as family members, relatives and friends gathered there in mourning. All 3 bodies have since been released to their respective families and will be transported to their hometowns for final rites. The remains of Arumugam and his young daughter Survika were taken back to Butterworth in Pulau Pinang, while the body of 10-year-old Venpani was brought home to Sungai Petani, Kedah. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency is conducting a thorough investigation to determine the exact cause of the incident. Terengganu Maritime Director, Maritime Captain Hamiluddin Che Awang, said the tragedy once again highlights the critical importance of maritime safety, especially during unpredictable weather conditions. He reminded all tourist boat operators and passengers to strictly adhere to safety regulations, wear life jackets at all times, and to check weather forecasts before setting out to sea. In the meantime, Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Tiong King Sing has revealed that the tour agency and boat operator involved in the recent fatal incident had been operating without a valid license since April. Preliminary investigations also found the operator failed to ensure all passengers were wearing life jackets, and most alarmingly, that the boatman tested positive for drugs. The minister described the decision by the tour agency to hire such a boatman as a reckless disregard for human life and responsibility. He stressed that tourist safety must never be compromised under any circumstances. Expanding further, Tiang said his ministry is considering reclaiming regulatory authority over tourist vehicles from the Transport Ministry. The move is aimed at strengthening safety measures for tourism-related transportation, such as tour buses and boats. The ministry is also planning to introduce a mandatory monitoring system for drivers, including regular urine tests. This is to ensure all drivers are medically fit and properly qualified to operate passenger vehicles. In addition, all tour buses will be required to undergo routine maintenance and mechanical inspections to prevent accidents caused by equipment failure. In Pulau Pinang, at least 7 homes and 11 vehicles were damaged after strong winds swept through the Taman Tun Sardon flats in Gelagor early on Sunday morning. The incident, which occurred at around 4 a.m., saw powerful winds hitting 2 blocks of the flats, with the roof of 1 block being torn off. Powerful gusts created a whirlwind effect, sending roof debris and various objects crashing into the opposite block. Parts of the roof structure also landed on the parking area below, damaging several vehicles. Eyewitnesses said they were jolted awake by the sound of howling winds during the early morning storm. Many described the storm as the worst ever to hit the neighborhood. Cleanup efforts were immediately carried out to clear debris and ensure access to nearby roads. Other parts of the island were also impacted by the storm, including Batu Lancang, Teluk Bahang, and other sections of Taman Tun Sardon. UMNO and Barisan Nasional need to be responsive and understand the desires of the country's youth, who are estimated to make up 40% of voters in the next general election. And to face the new generation of voters, UMNO Vice President Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said the party needs to remain dynamic, especially in the current realities of local politics.
Ada yang cerita soal dia melihat bagaimana kita membangunkan ekonomi. Ada yang melihat soal alam sekitar. Ada yang melihat soal integriti, credibility. Ada yang cerita soal government. Mereka datang daripada latar belakang yang berbeza. Kerana 40% pengundi yang mempunyai pemikiran yang begini sangat-sangat kritikal kepada mana-mana parti politik yang inginkan mereka ini relevan pada masa akan datang.
Johari, who is also the Plantation and Commodities Minister, added that youths who on average have a higher education level are more sensitive to current developments. The issues of openness, transparency and integrity need to be the focus of every party leadership. In fact, every UMNO member and leader needs to serve sincerely because ultimately it is the people who evaluate the effectiveness of a leader. Johari added that the party's changes are not about changing the agenda of struggle, but understanding the wishes and needs of the people as a whole. Johari earlier opened the Labuan UMNO Division Delegates meeting. Dilemma between full-time job and gig work. More on this after this breather.
Kerja kita belum selesai.
Kalau jadi apa-apa pada saya, cikgu tolonglah Alisha cari kamar.
Impian Alisha, dia cuma nak keluarga yang sempurna.
Baby kena pandai jaga diri tau.
Papa janji, Papa bawa baby balik.
Papa janji sayang.
Bersama Papa yang sentiasa di sisi, mencari kasih seorang ibu.
Kasih sayang seorang mak tu adalah dari hari pertama sampai bawa ke syurga.
Baby Papa, Isnin hingga Khamis, 10 malam di Samarinda TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Sangka baik pun boleh jadi buruk kalau ada yang menghasut. Kenapa pilih untuk jadi penghasut? Oh, Komang. Degoyan dah berbunga. Musim durian datang lagi, banyak menu yang boleh kita cuba. Dalam hubungan, pasti ada keinginan untuk memiliki. Tapi jangan sampai kita menakluki. Lelaki pun boleh disabitkan issues tau. Hati-hati, jangan sampai pasangan kita terasa. Ada, tapi macam tak ada je. Jangan biarkan pasangan kita keseorangan. Semuanya dan banyak lagi di Wanita Hari Ini dan stream sekarang ditonton. Wanita Hari Ini.
action.
Ustazah, tolong saya Ustazah.
Kali ni aku yakin Abang Ria akan jadi milik aku. Padan muka kau, Mia. I memang bodoh. You dengan Mirza memang pelakon yang terbaik. Nah, Tanya, you menang.
Nak lagi drama-drama legend? Bayar RM9.90, lagi layan ditonton.
Welcome back. Two state assemblymen and a businessman hauled up by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, under Op Adun are scheduled to be charged on Monday. In a media invitation, the Sabah MACC said the trio are expected to be charged at the Special Corruption Court in Kota Kinabalu at about 9 a.m. They will face a total of 4 charges under the MACC Act 2009. 2 of the charges will be brought for offering bribes, while the other 2 will be for accepting bribes. Op Adun is an investigation into the involvement of Sabah assemblymen in the issuance of mining licenses. It was reported earlier this week that the MACC had arrested another Sabah assemblyman on suspicion of soliciting and receiving bribes amounting to about 150,000 ringgit in connection with mining licenses in the state. The suspect, who serves as an assistant to a minister, was detained when he turned up to provide his statement at the Sabah MACC office at 9:30 a.m. on June 23rd. The man in his 40s is the 3rd state assemblyman arrested by the MACC to date in connection with the corruption investigation. Malaysia's youth job market remains highly competitive, with fresh graduates frequently facing challenges in securing full-time employment. At the same time, flexible income opportunities such as gig work have become increasingly accessible, offering a short-term alternative for those entering the workforce, but also raising concerns about long-term career growth and job security for the younger generation. Nightline's Muhammad Nadir Asfar has the report.
For today's graduates, the path from classroom to career is not always straightforward. With full-time roles becoming harder to secure and gig work on the rise, many are navigating a job market that's filled with both uncertainties and new possibilities.
Although graduate employability is not an alarming issue in Malaysia, underemployment remains widespread. Data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia shows that 35.7% of employed graduates in the first quarter of 2025 were in roles that did not match their qualifications, highlighting a symptom of skill mismatch. Malaysian Employers Federation (MEF) advisor Datuk Shamsuddin Bardan believes that the practice of placing graduates in jobs below their qualification level is a waste of resources and cannot be sustained. However, he explained that adaptability and multi-skilling among graduates are highly valued by employers, even if they work outside their field of study.
We look at the degree as the basic mean of equipping someone with the knowledge, knowledge as a knowledge. But in terms of work, if the graduate is basically adaptable, and then can do various jobs. And this is something that employers are actually giving a lot of value. That means you are a person that is multi-skilled and can multitask.
To the Malaysian Industrial, Commercial and Service Employers Association, MIXIA, its president Alvin Lai Yukar believes that graduates should view gig work as an opportunity to equip themselves with skills which they can use to pursue full-time jobs.
You got to look at what is the current market demand based on the skill set, and then you move towards that direction in order to secure yourself for a very good role, in order to secure yourself for the next 3 to 5 years. That should be the current mindset.
Now for youths, do they prefer full-time jobs over gig work?
Okay, I think I prefer to full-time job because for now, between part-time and full-time, okay, the difference is salary. Okay, so the part-time, if you don't have a job, you don't have a salary. If you're full-time, you have a permanent salary.
I would take a gig job as a side job, but I would still want a full-time job simply because, to me, I understand there is more stability in a full-time job.
As the job market continues to evolve, today's graduates strive to be adaptable, balancing the pursuit of stable careers with the flexibility to seize new opportunities in an ever-changing economy. Muhammad Nadi Asfar, TV3.
Kabul shines in Asin. The details when Nightline returns.
Satria, bangkit. Bersedia semua ejen. Item terhad telah dikesan. Miliki semua koleksi barangan eksklusif Ejen Ali The Movie 2 sekarang. Lebih daripada 10 barangan hanya dalam satu harga. Pastikan misi anda berjaya mendapatkan koleksi terhad Ejen Ali The Movie 2 di wowshop.com.my. Jelajah filem dan aktiviti on ground sebelum terlambat. Bertindak segera!
Sempena ulang tahun TV3 ke-41, projek dari layar ke lensa menampilkan barisan pelakon terkenal yang kini berada di kerusi pengarah. Jana Nik, Susu 5 Kupang. Fatah Amin, Nokta Dosa. Siti Saleha, Rentak Dua Hati. Zahiril Azim, Pencuri Rumah Imam. Akan datang di slot Cewek Lama TV3.
Salah satu tikaman di leher memutuskan arteri dan mangsa meninggal dunia.
Mayat tersebut ditemui dalam lubang kumbahan najis.
Suspek yang juga anak bongsu kepada mangsa mengaku menusuk pisau pemotong sayur pada bahagian leher.
Mayat dalam keadaan kaku seperti keadaan bongkok ni.
We're back with news from the foreign front. A Batik Air flight survived a near miss at Indonesia's Soekarno-Hatta International Airport on Saturday after strong winds tipped the aircraft to its side during landing, causing its wing and engine to almost hit the runway. Officials reported that the Boeing 737 landed during a downpour with increasing wind speed while its direction remained constant. Despite the conditions, the plane landed safely and all flight procedures were followed. An aircraft engineer team thoroughly inspected the aircraft and found no damages, declaring it fit to return to operation. Several other flights were also forced to hold in the air due to the same storm. Iran's judiciary said on Sunday that an Israeli strike on Tehran's Evin prison during this month's 12-day war killed at least 71 people. Spokesperson Asghar Jahangir revealed that the strike on June 23rd, the day before the ceasefire between Israel and Iran took effect, destroyed part of the administrative building at Evin, a heavily fortified complex in northern Tehran that houses political prisoners and foreign nationals. The dead included prison staff, guards, inmates, visiting relatives, and nearby residents. The judiciary also reported that Evin's medical center and visiting rooms were targeted, signaling that Israel was expanding its strikes beyond military and nuclear facilities. On June 24th, authorities announced that inmates had been transferred out of Evin prison without disclosing numbers or identities. The Zionist regime on Sunday ordered Palestinians to evacuate areas in northern Gaza ahead of an intensified fighting against Hamas, as U.S. President Donald Trump called for an end to the war. The Israeli forces ordered Palestinians to head south towards Khan Yunis, an Israeli-designated humanitarian area. Palestinian and United Nations officials, however, stressed that nowhere in Gaza is safe, as medics and residents reported that fresh strikes killed at least 21, including 5 at 8 distribution sites. The regime claimed the escalation was aimed to destroy the capabilities of terrorist organizations, but once again failed to provide evidence. Sports now, motorsports and the 2025 Spanish Superbike Championship. National young rider Kabil Irfan Azlan bounced back in style, claiming a podium finish in race 2 of the ESBK Talent class at round 3 in Aragon on Sunday. The 13-year-old Frando Racing VHC rider started from second on the grid in the 11-lap race, delivering a strong performance and crossing the line just 0.018 seconds behind winner Alessio Arnold. Enzo Zaragoza secured third to complete the podium. The series resumes with round 4 at Spain's Navarra circuit from July 17th to 20th. Still on motorsports, the 2025 MotoGP Dutch Grand Prix. Marc Marquez extended his lead in the World Championship standings with victory at Assen, despite starting from the second row on Sunday. The 32-year-old Spaniard, who also won Saturday's sprint race after recovering from 2 crashes in practice, finished ahead of Aprilia's Marco Bezzecchi. His Ducati teammate Francesco Bagnaia, who had been chasing a 4th consecutive win at the Dutch track, came home in third. Marquez's younger brother, Alex, his closest rival in the standings, fractures his hand in a crash with Pedro Acosta. The win extended Marquez's championship advantage to a commanding 68 points over Alex as he chases his 7th title. The next race weekend is in Germany on July 12th to 13th, marking the midpoint of the 22-race season. Moving on to football, the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Chelsea scored 3 times in the second period of extra time to beat 10-man Benfica 4-1 in their weather-affected last 16 clash on Saturday. Reece James opened the scoring in the 64th minute with a spectacular free kick from a tight angle on the left wing. The match, however, was halted 5 minutes from the end of regulation time due to a lightning storm, resulting in an almost 2-hour delay. When play resumed, Benfica's Angel Di Maria converted a penalty deep in injury time to force extra time for the Portuguese side. But Benfica's night took another turn for the worse when Gianluca Prestiani was sent off just 2 minutes into extra time. Chelsea took full advantage of their one-man advantage with goals from Christopher Nkunku, Pedro Neto and Kiernan Dewsbury Hall in a 9-minute blitz, securing their place in the quarter-finals. Next up, Chelsea will face Brazil's Palmeiras for a place in the semi-finals. Earlier substitute Paulinho scored an extra-time winner to settle a Brazilian battle of attrition as Palmeiras edged Botafogo 1-0 to advance into the Club World Cup quarter-finals. The match, played in Philadelphia's sweltering summer heat, remained goalless after 90 minutes of cagey and ill-tempered football. In the 100th minute of extra time, Paulinho produced the decisive moment, cutting in from the right, dribbling past 2 defenders and firing a low-angled shot into the bottom corner. Botafogo pushed for an equalizer but failed to capitalize, even after Palmeiras were reduced to 10 men when Gustavo Gomes received a second yellow card for a tactical foul. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at the 2025 Harian Metro Batik Run held on Sunday in Kuala Lumpur, which attracted more than 1,000 participants. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and have a productive week ahead.